very integral to the shearing competitions over the next few days. And we welcome into the studio Mr. Ron King. Ronald, welcome along to the stadium. Yep, kia ora,
very much.
and tēnā koe.
Yeah.
Hey Ron, it's your second year in the role.
Yes.
You weren't given a hospital pass, were you?
Sometimes it feels like it, Koro, I can tell you. It's been a good learning curve. I've learned fairly quickly too, to be honest. But no, overall going very well and enjoying the role. And I'm happy with the way things are going.
Cool.
That's cool.
Because I think from memory, you would probably be one of the youngest chief referees that have ever been here.
Yeah, I think so, actually. I've never thought of it, to be fair, but I think so. I think you're right. I seem to still have plenty of black hair, so that's not too bad. I'm not going too white yet.
Well, Alan Precious was doing it for a long time, and he's done a bloody good job.
Stellar job, yep.
Yeah.
And I'm fortunate enough to have Alan still in the background as a bit of a sounding board for different things, so it is good. So it does make my role easier to mould into and to learn the job. So, but no, very good.
We appreciate Alan, and we often thank him very much, because sometimes it's a thankless job, isn't it?
Oh, I think so. Yeah, but it's like that with all, a lot of the role that we partake in. Not only with what we're doing, but all the volunteers. It is a thankless job because there's a lot involved and a lot behind the scenes. And sometimes I think people do tend to forget how much work is involved.
And it's voluntary.
That's the biggest thing, and it's voluntary too. So we thank all those volunteers as well.
So Ronnie, what's your main role as far as chief referee? Are you the one that chooses the judges to come along and things like that?
Yes, we have a committee that we do that, but I'm sort of the main person behind that. We choose the judges, and the Woolhandling judges as well as the shearing judges as well, all the judges, the pressing judges. But mainly, obviously, because we want the best that we can possibly get, because it's the big, it's the Golden Shears, and it's a very predominant.
Yeah.
So, and we're pretty confident that we get that every year. So we're more than happy with our judges and quality of our judges. But yeah, my role mainly is that, and any troubleshooting, any problems or any issues with competitors that aren't happy, or perhaps might be put in the wrong grade or something like that, they'll come and see me, and then we rectify that, do our best to sort things out, and mainly make sure that the judges are following protocol and doing their job properly, and making sure basically that the show's running smoothly. Yeah.
So if I was a judge and I was starting out there, and how would I be able to get invited to the Golden Shears?
Well, to be fair, it's something that it takes a few years, I suppose, but it's just the quality of your judging, Koro. And you do get recognised around the shows. You basically just got to get out there and do the shows. And it's like anything, the more shows you do, the more experience, and the better you'll get at it. And once you do get good at it, you'll get recognised. And we have a few people in different areas that we shoulder tap to say, who have you got in your area that perhaps could be in contention, and they let you know through the examiners in those areas. So it's quite a good process, a robust process, and it works well.
Wow, because you've got judges from all over the country, and there's some from overseas too, isn't there?
Yeah, we have. Yep. We've fortunate again this year. Well, every year we have a judge from Australia come over, and of course, the guy we've got this year is another good guy, Greg Drew. He's on and wrapped to be here. It's a bit different from over there, so he's learning about how things work and the protocol things, but he's fitted in very well. So we've got plenty of guys mentoring him to keep, to make sure he's happy with what's going on, he's comfortable with where he is. So it is, but we've got a lot of South Island judges. We like to keep it, New Zealand-wide, to involve everyone, because the Golden Shears, even though it's at Masterton in the North Island, it's a New Zealand-wide thing, for us.
So there you go, budding judges. If you put the time and the effort in, you'll get recognised. Yes. And if you're tapped on the shoulder, that'll be a bonus.
That's right too. It will be a bonus too.
Well, we're just about ready to get underway with the novice shearing this year, and Woolhandling is full on. There's been a huge number of novice wool handlers, and the entries are way up.
Yep.
So Ronnie, what's the roles of a shearing judge on the boards, and what's the roles of a shearing judge outside?
Well, if we start firstly on the board, what the judges are looking for, it's about the quality. So what they're looking for is perhaps any wool that might be left on. We call it a double cut or a second cut. They'll cut some wool off, and if they leave a length of wool on the sheep, they get. If they're on the board and they cut that off, they get penalised. So we've got judges on the board looking for that. But if they don't cut that off, we've got judges at the back that'll pick it up out there as well. So, and, you know, mainly wool left on and any, you know, minor scratches and things like that that could possibly happen, you know.
Well, when you're dealing with a blade and it's going across at 3,000 revs, it's a skill that's required to, you know, to minimise double cuts, second cuts. Yes. And if the odd scratch happens, the sheep might move
Well, that's it, because as you know,
and all of a sudden there's a little bit of a mishap. But,
exactly. You know, we're dealing with a live animal, so they're unpredictable. So you just never know, and so it is. It's a very skillful job, no matter what grade you're in. So very good.
Okay, so the second cut. So that's the guys on the board. They're watching for second cuts, double cuts, and then the sheep pops through the porthole.
They pop through the porthole at the back, and then we have another set of judges at the back. We have guys that will hold the sheep, and then what they're looking for, as I say, is if they don't cut the second cut off or double cut off, and it's left on the sheep, we refer to it quite often as a ridge. There's a bit of wool left on. Depending on how big that is, we have a rule of thumb on the size, how that works. And, you know, if it's a big one, it perhaps could be 4 strokes or 3 points, depending on what it is. So, and that's what their role is.
I commentate at some competitions, and I often say the farmer's grown this wool for 8 months.
Yes.
It's up to the shearer to take the wool off the sheep without incurring second cuts, because that's devaluing their wool clip. And
that's it.
And you know, sometimes the sheep will get stuck in a bit of a blackberry, and they'll have a bit of a scratch and a scab on them. So we've got to be all mindful of those, haven't we?
Oh, we certainly do. That's right too. You know, when you're shearing, there's a lot going on with your hands and your eyes and everything. So get your coordination is a big thing to make sure.
You know, one thing that I really sometimes bothers me is you've got this animal, you're on the board, you're shearing the sheep, and you've got this bloody judge looking over the top of you. So how are all these young shearers getting on with their blinging hearts and things like that?
I think quite often a lot of them think, they wait till they finish and they think, I'd like to do it again now. Actually, I don't feel quite so nervous. But yeah, I wouldn't like to think that we're intimidating and scary, but it is obviously especially for new young people. Or anyone really, but mainly the young ones that have never really experienced it like that. It can be quite nerve-wracking, especially when you're up on the stage and you've got a lot of people watching you. So we do try and keep them calm and talk to them, especially the lower grade guys.
That's wonderful, because I remember back years ago, the old judge in his white coat, you go up there and he's looking at you with steely eyes and shucks. But now you guys, you got your Carfield's Primary Wools shirts on, and we're thankful to the sponsors.
We
and
certainly
all that.
are. Yes, we are.
So is there anything you want to touch on again before we head back out to the stadium?
Not really. Just that I think this year will be like any other year. We've got good entries this year, which is very good. We're more than happy with that, and it looks like the sheep are in good condition. It's been a good season. So I think we're looking forward to some good shearing being done, and wool handling. Yeah.
We had the president, Sam Saunders, in a little earlier on to open the show, and he's talked about there's been some changes in sheep suppliers as well. Yeah,
there has been. We had a few. Unfortunately, farms been sold through the year, and then the newer people aren't committed to supplying sheep, so we've had to find new sheep. So that's going to be a little bit of an unknown, but we're pretty confident we've got the right sheep, and the farmers are very keen, and they're keen to be on board and helping out too, which is a big thing. So yeah, hopefully it'll work out all right.
Well, traditionally, bag shot sheep have been shorn in the open finals.
Yes.
Have they got some sheep? Because I know they're now gone. They're gone. So
they've gone. Yeah.
The sheep that have been replaced.
Not far away actually, but they're not the bag shot sheep. So it's going to be a bit of a change at the top there. But we're pretty confident we've got sheep that are just about as good. Well, just as good, I should say.
Your guys, Ken McPherson and co, you guys will make sure that we've got it.
Oh, exactly too. Right. You know, and as you say, we're going back before. There's a lot gets done behind the scenes to make it run smoothly on the days and the nights. So we're pretty confident that we've got a good mix of sheep. Yeah.
And Ronnie, just to touch on the farming side of it, you've settled into your new farm?
Yes, yep. I've been there 6 months now. I'm still quite busy, obviously, because I'm still farming the old farm as well.
Okay.
But no, yeah, we
tiger for punishment.
Well, yeah, I'm a bit of a slow learner, I think. Bloody hell.
And the families are doing well. I see Ahu Whenua is coming up, and Māori Farm of the Year.
Māori Farm of the Year, and pretty honoured and privileged to have my brother Eugene and his wife Pani on their whānau.
Yes.
Made the final this year.
Is young Levi here?
Yeah, Levi's
That's their
shearing.
boy, yeah.
Yes, he's shearing. I've got 3 nephews shearing at the show this year, so that's quite privileged, quite an honour.
So Nukuhi will be watching this, would she?
Well, I hope so.
They've won the Ahufenu in the past.
Yeah, they certainly did. Yep. So we've had a bit of a stronghold in the fact that we've had 3 family members make the final.
Amazing.
So it's quite cool. And then, as I say, it's an honour and a privilege to be part of that as well. So,
right.
but yeah.
Well, ngā mihi kia koe, Ronald. And
kia ora.
we'd like to
Koro.
bring you back into the studio on Saturday afternoon or Saturday night.
Yeah, fine. Yep.
If you've got the time,
I've
you
got the
might have a
time.
lot. You might have a lot of hassles by then.
Hopefully not. But no, that's fine. That's
Kia ora,
good.
brother.
Kia ora.
Thank you.
Koro. Thank you.
Oh, well, there you go, folks. Back to you, Toby. Noise Productions and the Golden Shears.
It up on the honours board up there. The Goodger family as a whole has dominated the scene, and especially Jeremy. However, his younger brother Vinny, the last couple of seasons, has pipped him on the post, as if to say. Right, so we're just getting organised. Mavis?
Yep, thanks down there, Gerald. And yes, let's mihi to the Goodger whānau and the amazing record of success they've had down here. But look, let's just turn to the wool handling. We've got, this is the last. I know I've been saying that for the last 3 heats, but this really is the last heat of the junior wool handling. Our young guy, Cortez, down on stand number 1, his grandmother, Rose Puha, real matriarch, and Rose has done an awesome job of bringing her children and now her grandchildren through, really, hitting their straps at a young age. And then on 2, Tuma introduced Lucas, Aotearoa Nui Paparangi from Wanganui. Sometimes you get a wool handler come through who really shines personality, and Lucas is one of those. He does really well. He's one of these competitors who's always helpful and smiling as well. And our local girl down here, great to see so many competitors coming through from Martinborough. A lot of strong competitors from that end of the district. She's done a lovely job rolling up, but you know what? They've got to get back because there's a lot of setting up that's required, a lot of preparation to get that fleece nicely on the table. Sometimes you can leave it too long and then you pay for it later on. Here we go, let's see. Lucas, yeah, not too bad. You probably wasted that a bit, my friend. That was a beautiful fleece. Nice from Jason, a little bit bunching, same with Cortez. You can tell these fleeces are hard work. They're too scared to actually really let them float out because they are so loose.
Yes, you're dead right, Mavis. This fleece that young Cortez has, it's a monster. But he's done very, very well to keep it on the table. And just watching these wool handlers, they are trying to take their time and really set up that fleece properly and pick it up properly. But they just seem to be just falling away a little bit on them. Some of these wool, they even look maybe a little bit too scared to throw the darn thing. As you say, they are well-grown fleeces on these animals.
I think the other thing is if you don't put the time into preparing that fleece well, it does make you a bit nervous to let it go. You do kind of hold back a bit in throwing it onto that table. But, great job. Nice tidy boards up top. Takes, every bit of oddment or loose wool that you see on the stage is actually a contamination for the beautiful length fleece that is coming off.
Okay, I'll just thanks, Mavis. We'll just get this heat started, please. Rightio, we're good to go. We've got Jeremy Goodger on 1 and Kinsey Leith on 2. A couple of locals, ladies and gentlemen, so feel free to swing around in your seat and watch this action. Judges are ready. Pressers, on your marks, set, go. Here we go, folks. Here we go. Let's stay with the wool handling. Tuma, do you want to bring that fleece home?
Yeah, thanks, Gerald. Just looking at these throws, Cortez and Lucas, they both, they nursed those fleeces onto the tables. They didn't throw them, they just nursed them. Cortez, he just aimed for the top of the table, then pulled it back. I think that was the safest option for him on that fleece. Just watching it come off the sheep, there's a lot of yellow there. And so these wool handlers, Mavis, they've got a lot of decisions to make with these fleeces, just with the weather that we had a little bit earlier on in the season.
That's right. There is a lot of decision making going on, and at speed. I'd noticed down here, Jacintha's got, it looked like there was a fair bit of shed stain in there. She's had to deal to that. There's also, you can just faintly see a bit of colour. She's having to make the decision about, is this bad enough to take out, or do I ignore it? She's saying, no, I think I'm taking it out here. So, there's decision making going on all the way, but Cortez, Toma, he's into it.
This young Cortez, he's a real competitor, we've seen him for the last 2-3 years now. He's grown about 4 foot in the last couple of years, so he's really starting to bounce up. But you see him, his eyes are on the shearer. We've got
well done, Lucas.
Yeah, Lucas, good time for him. But yeah, this young Cortez's eyes are everywhere. They're on the shearer, always looking around. Good young competitor.
You'll notice now that the competitors really have to stand back to allow the judges to collect those baskets, to make their assessment of how much work or how many penalties are left on their board. We've got Jacinta who's just finished now. Well done, Jacinta. Well done. That was some really hard work that you got faced with there. You got a few real challenges. But well done to all those junior wool handlers. Thank you again to the shearers, to Donald McRae for a great line of sheep. Back to you, Nookie, I think.
Thanks, Nookie. Thanks, Mavis. Right, we'll go down here to the pressing at the moment, hey?
Okay, I'll just come in here because we've got the novice shearing coming up very shortly. Once we're packed up and we've got sheep in the pens. The first heat of the novice shearing will be James Noble Campbell, Zane Rogers, Tiana Phillips, Shay Rogers, Lizzie Cole and Truls Bew. So could those 6 shearers please be ready when we call you up for the novice shearing? Thank you.
Thank you. Right, down to the press while they're getting sorted down on the board. So once again, we've got a couple of locals here. Jeremy Goodshire with his sensational pattern where he moves very accurately in and around the press. He doesn't waste an inch of energy. Really, he wants the yard